The palace of Luminara Prime was burning. Queen Vaiana stood at the window of her throne room, watching the orange glow spread across the lower districts. Smoke billowed into the twilight sky, and even through the reinforced crystal walls, she could hear the distant roar of the mob. 3 million voices united in rage, demanding her abdication, her arrest, her execution. Behind her, the sound of boots on marble echoed through the vast chamber. Her personal guard, the elite warriors sworn to protect the crown with their lives, were running away. "Your Majesty!" Captain Zorath burst into the throne room, his blue skin flushed darker with panic. "The rebel forces have breached the outer walls. The military has refused to engage. Half of them have joined the uprising. We must evacuate you immediately." Vaiana turned slowly from the window. She was striking even in crisis. Her orange skin seemed to glow with inner light, her blonde hair woven with the traditional crown braids that marked her as the 73rd ruler of the Luminaran Empire. Her violet eyes swept the room, counting. 12 guards. There should have been 50. "Where are the others?" she asked quietly. Zorath wouldn't meet her eyes. "Gone, Your Majesty. They removed their oath marks and left through the service passages. Some joined the rebels, others simply fled." "And you?" Vaiana asked. "Are you here to evacuate me or to arrest me yourself?" The captain's hand drifted to his weapon. For a moment, Vaiana wondered if this was how it would end, cut down by her own guard in her own throne room. Then Zorath's hand fell away. "I'm here to tell you the transport is ready," he said. "We have perhaps 10 minutes before the mob reaches the palace gates. After that, I cannot guarantee your safety. Please, Your Majesty, we must go." "You said we," Vaiana noted. "Does that mean you're coming with me?" Zorath hesitated, then shook his head. "I will hold the throne room as long as I can, buy you time to escape. It is the least I can do." The least, Vaiana thought bitterly, not his duty, not his oath, just the minimum to ease his conscience before he too abandoned her. "Very well," she said with as much dignity as she could muster. "Thank you, Captain. You are dismissed from service with honor." Zorath bowed stiffly and retreated. The other 11 guards shuffled nervously, glancing at each other. One by one, they found excuses to leave. Equipment checks, scouting routes, securing the landing pad, all lies. Within 5 minutes, the throne room was empty except for Vaiana herself. She walked to her throne, carved from a single massive crystal, inlaid with the metals of all 73 worlds in the Empire, and sat down. She would not run. If this was the end, she would face it as a queen in her rightful place. The sound of breaking glass came from somewhere below. The mob was in the palace. Vaiana closed her eyes and waited for death. "Your Majesty!" Her eyes snapped open. A figure stood in the entrance to the throne room, human, male, wearing the simple gray uniform of the palace maintenance staff. He was young, perhaps 25 by human reckoning, with dark hair and darker eyes. His name badge read Marcus Chen Environmental Systems. "You should leave," Vaiana said. "This is not your fight." "With respect, Your Majesty," Marcus said, walking into the throne room with surprising calm, "I'm exactly where I should be." He was carrying something. It took Vaiana a moment to recognize it as a pulse rifle, one of the older military models that had been decommissioned years ago but apparently still worked. "Where did you get that?" she asked. "Museum on the 3rd floor," Marcus said. "I figured if we're making last stands, we should at least be armed." He moved to stand between Vaiana and the throne room entrance, checking the weapon's charge with practiced efficiency. "How much time do we have?" Vaiana stood. Human, I don't even know who you are. Why are you here? Because you're my queen, Marcus said simply, and someone should stand with you. You're queen, you're human, you owe me no loyalty, no oath. This isn't even your world. I've worked in this palace for 3 years, Marcus said. I've seen you every day, walking the halls, meeting with ambassadors, reviewing petitions from common citizens. I've seen you exhausted, frustrated, angry, sad. But I've never seen you cruel. Never seen you treat anyone like they were beneath you. Not even the maintenance staff who most nobles pretend don't exist. He adjusted his stance, professional despite his civilian status. 2 weeks ago, you stopped me in the hall, asked my name. Asked if I was happy here, if there was anything you could do to make the palace better for the staff. You remembered my answer. The next day, new air filtration units were installed in the service quarters because I mentioned the old ones were making people sick. Vaiana blinked. She'd forgotten that conversation. It had been one of hundreds she'd had in the past month, desperately trying to connect with her people to understand why they'd turned against her. That was nothing, she said. That was everything, Marcus corrected. Because you didn't have to care. You were dealing with a planetary crisis, rebellions in 6 provinces, economic collapse, but you stopped and cared about the human maintenance worker who fixes your air recyclers. That told me who you really are. The sound of the mob was growing louder. Thousands of voices chanting for justice, for change, for blood. They want me dead, Vaiana said quietly. They blame me for the economic collapse, for the failed harvest, for the trade embargoes. Maybe they're right. Are they? Marcus asked. I don't know, Vaiana admitted. I inherited this crisis from my father. I've tried everything: reform, negotiation, austerity measures, wealth redistribution. Nothing worked. Every choice I made to help one group hurt another. Every policy that might have worked long-term caused short-term pain. And now, she gestured to the burning city beyond the windows. Now they want my head. So give them something else, Marcus said. Like what? The truth. Marcus finally looked back at her. Your Majesty, I've been in this palace for 3 years. I've seen things, heard things. I know about the sabotage. Vaiana felt her blood run cold. What sabotage? The terraforming equipment that mysteriously failed, destroying 2 provinces' crops. The trade negotiations that collapsed because someone leaked confidential information to your rivals. The shipments of medical supplies that went missing, causing shortages in the outer territories. I work in environmental systems. I maintain the data networks. I've seen the logs, the access records. Someone in your own government has been sabotaging you, Your Majesty, making everything worse so the people would blame you. Who? Vaiana demanded. I don't know yet, Marcus admitted. The trails are well hidden, but I have evidence, documented proof that this crisis was manufactured. That's why I'm still here, because you deserve someone who knows you're not the villain they think you are. The throne room doors shuddered. Someone was battering them from outside. It's too late for evidence, Vaiana said. Even if what you say is true, they won't listen. They want blood. Then we give them time, Marcus said. He raised his voice, calling out to the empty room. Palace AI Emergency Protocol Omega 77. A synthetic voice responded. Authorization required. Marcus pulled out his credentials. Marcus Chen, maintenance staff, invoking station, keeping emergency protocols. Authorization, Chen Delta 995. Authorization accepted. Omega 77 activated. Throne room lockdown initiated. Heavy blast doors began sliding down over the entrances. The battering on the main doors intensified, but the reinforced barriers would hold for a time. "What did you just do?" Vayana asked. "Bought us maybe an hour," Marcus said. Station-keeping protocols are designed to seal critical areas during environmental emergencies. Technically, this qualifies. And after an hour, either we've found a way to prove your innocence or, Marcus shrugged, or we make our stand when they break through. "You're insane," Vayana said. "You're going to die for a queen you barely know based on suspicions of sabotage you can't prove." "I've been collecting evidence for 6 months," Marcus corrected. "I just couldn't figure out who to give it to. Everyone in your administration seemed compromised. But now," he smiled grimly, "now I give it directly to you. If nothing else, you'll know the truth before the end." He pulled out a data drive and tossed it to her. Vayana caught it, staring at the small device that supposedly contained proof of her innocence. "Why?" she asked. "Why risk everything for this, for me?" Marcus was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft. "My grandmother was human military, served in Earth's first contact wars. She used to tell me stories about honor, about standing your ground when everyone else runs, about protecting those who can't protect themselves. She said the measure of a person isn't what they do when everyone's watching, it's what they do when no one would ever know." He looked at Vayana directly. "No one would know if I ran. I could blend into the crowd, escape this planet, go anywhere. But I would know. I'd know I abandoned someone who didn't deserve it, someone who tried her best in an impossible situation, someone who cared about whether a random human maintenance worker was happy." The battering on the doors intensified. Angry voices shouted demands. "Open, in the name of the people. The tyrant must answer for her crimes." "I'm not a tyrant," Vayana whispered. "I know," Marcus said, "but we need to prove it." He gestured to the data drive. "Your Majesty, that contains access logs, communication intercepts, financial records. If you can find the pattern, identify who's been sabotaging you, we might be able to broadcast it. Turn the mob's anger in the right direction." Vayana inserted the drive into her throne's integrated terminal. Data cascaded across holographic displays, months of careful documentation. Marcus had been busy. She began analyzing, her royal education in governance and economics finally useful. Patterns emerged, payments to offshore accounts, coordinated timing of failures, communications between supposedly separate crises, and slowly, inevitably, all trails leading back to— "No," Vayana breathed. "You found it?" Marcus asked. "Lord Chancellor Varix," Vayana said, her voice hollow. "My father's closest advisor, my trusted counselor. He's been orchestrating everything. The sabotage, the economic collapse, the rebellion itself. She pulled up more files, horror growing. "He's been planning this for 5 years, since before my father died. He wanted the throne but couldn't take it directly. So he's been destroying the empire to make me look incompetent, turning the people against me so he can step in as savior." "Can you prove it?" Marcus asked urgently. "Yes," Vayana said. "These records are comprehensive. They show everything. But how do we—" She stopped, realization dawning. "The palace broadcast system. We can transmit directly to every communication device in the city, including the ones carried by the mob outside," Marcus finished. "Do it." Vayana's hands flew across the controls. Within seconds, she'd accessed the palace emergency broadcast network, designed to warn citizens of disasters, now repurposed to reveal a conspiracy. "People of Luminara Prime," she began, her voice amplified across thousands of speakers. This is Queen Vayana. I know you are angry. I know you believe I have failed you. But before you break down these doors, before you execute me for crimes I did not commit, I ask that you look at the evidence I am broadcasting now. She released the files, all of them, directly to public networks. Communication logs, financial transfers, sabotage orders, all bearing Lord Chancellor Varix's personal authorization codes. I am not innocent of all mistakes, Vayana continued. I made errors in judgment, trusted the wrong advisors, failed to see the conspiracy until too late. But I did not cause this crisis deliberately. I have been its victim as much as you have. Outside the throne room, the battering slowed, then stopped. Lord Chancellor Varix is currently at his estate outside the city, Vayana said. He expected to return tomorrow to a palace in ruins and a people desperate for leadership. He would have played the hero, offered stability and order, and you would have given him the crown he's been coveting for years. Do not let him succeed. She closed the broadcast and sagged in her throne, exhausted. For a long moment there was only silence. Then, Your Majesty, a new voice different from the mob's angry roar. Your Majesty, we see the evidence. We were deceived. Marcus moved to the blast door controls. Your Majesty, I think you should hear this directly. Wait, Vayana said. They could be lying, waiting for us to open the doors. Maybe, Marcus agreed, but you transmitted the truth. That took courage. Now you need to show faith. Trust that truth is enough. And if it isn't, Marcus smiled, then at least we tried, and I'll be standing right here beside you. Vayana studied the human who'd refused to abandon her. This maintenance worker who'd shown more loyalty than her entire royal guard. This stranger who'd become, in the space of an hour, the truest friend she had. Open the doors, she ordered. Marcus triggered the controls. The blast doors rose slowly, revealing thousands of faces, the mob that had come to kill her, but their expressions had changed. Confusion, shame, anger, but directed elsewhere now. In the front stood a woman Vayana recognized, Kella, a merchant from the lower districts who'd lost everything in the economic collapse. She was holding a communication device, the transmitted evidence displayed on its screen. Your Majesty, Kella said, her voice breaking. We did not know, we thought. Varix told us it was your policies causing the suffering. He organized the protests, provided weapons, encouraged the violence, and we believed him because we were desperate and angry and needed someone to blame. I understand, Vayana said quietly. I would have done the same. What happens now? Someone in the crowd called out. Vayana stood, drawing herself to full royal height. Now we arrest Lord Chancellor Varix. We repair what has been broken, we rebuild what was destroyed, and we do it together, all of us. No more secrets, no more blind trust in advisors. I will open the palace to public oversight. You will see every decision, every policy, every choice I make. And if I fail you again, if I prove unworthy of this crown, then you can remove me, peacefully, legally, without violence. She looked at Marcus, who gave her an encouraging nod. But first, Vayana continued, I want to honor someone. This human, Marcus Chen, stood with me when everyone else ran. He protected me when my own guards abandoned their posts. He preserved evidence of the conspiracy at great personal risk. He is a maintenance worker, a human immigrant, someone our society barely notices, yet he showed more courage and loyalty than nobles born to it. She descended from her throne and approached Marcus, removing one of the honor pins from her own crown braids, platinum inlaid with crystal, mark of royal favor. Marcus Chen, she said formally, I name you guardian of the crown. Your descendants will bear this honor forever. Marcus looked stunned. Your Majesty, I don't. You stood when others ran, Vayana said simply. That deserves recognition. The crowd, no longer a mob, but people again, began to cheer, not the angry roar from before, but something else. Hope, relief, unity. Marcus accepted the pin with shaking hands. I just did what was right. Exactly, Vayana said. And that makes you extraordinary. She turned back to her people. Lord Chancellor Varix's estate, who's with me? The answering roar shook the palace walls, but this time with determination rather than rage. As the crowd organized into a purposeful force, Marcus stepped close to Vayana. Your Majesty, that was incredibly risky. So was staying here to protect me, Vayana replied. I learned from the best. What happens if we find Varix and he denies everything? Then we have a trial. Public, transparent, fair, let justice be done properly. She smiled, the first genuine smile in months. With you as guardian of the crown, I think I can trust the process. I'm just a maintenance worker who got lucky, Marcus protested. No, Vayana said. You're the man who refused to move when everyone else ran. You're proof that honor isn't about birth or rank or species. It's about choices, and you chose to stand with your queen. Yes, Marcus said simply. I did. Together, queen and guardian, luminaran and human, they walked out of the throne room. Behind them, the crystal throne stood empty. Before them, thousands of people waited to follow their lead. The guards had abandoned their posts, but one human had refused to move, and in doing so, he'd saved not just a queen, but an entire empire. Sometimes, Vayana thought, the most extraordinary loyalty comes from the most unexpected places. And sometimes, all it takes is one person who refuses to run to change everything.